Thanks for joining me and congrats on Government Cheese. I thought it was great.
Appreciate it.
I was reading about it and how it all sort of started with that short film with David Oyelowo years back, and how it sounded like you sort of needed to get the story out of you and saw this opportunity with the short film as sort of a way to express it. I was curious, with the series now, did you sort of you and Aeysha, did you find yourself creating it for that same reason? Or maybe something different with this new uh, medium, I guess.
Yeah, well, it actually, it started as a feature. Uh,
Okay.
and then I couldn't really sort of get traction on it as a feature, so I said, it needs a visual. This needs a visual element to, I just wanted to express it. So I boiled down the elements of the feature and created a short film. And then from there, I created a pitch video that sort of showed like how it could be a show, over a couple of seasons. And then met Apple, and Apple, got on and brought us in, which I'm really grateful for and excited. And then from that point, and Aeysha came on board, and we kind of sort of took it from there.
That's great. Yeah, that's very exciting. And well, thank gosh, I'm glad Apple took you on because yeah, it's a wonderful end result. I'm excited it's finally out, and you mentioned a couple seasons. That was sort of my next question. I mean, I was gonna ask if you felt like you got it all out in one season, or have you already been thinking about where Hampton, Astoria, etc. can go beyond the first installment?
Um, not yet. I mean, I'm just really focusing on, the season, and just to sort of clarify, like in my sort of pitch video, what what that was about is just showing like how, far you could go with this.
Sure,
Uh, so
sure. Yeah.
um,
That makes sense. I just have to ask because these are fun characters to watch. So it's
I'm
a
glad. Thanks.
great time period and location. I live in the San Fernando Valley, so
Which part?
we live in Valley Village, North Hollywood area.
Yeah, yeah. I'm familiar off of Vineland.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're Chandler and Colfax.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, the Sun Valley in Pacoima.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, not far from me. Uh, but here we are decades later from 1969. So, but yeah, it's a great little, the outfits and the time period in the show. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, you're from the valley. I like the way the sun sort of comes through there, and how
yeah,
it breaks through. And that actually inspired the lighting and the color palettes in this, just looking back at photos and just looking at how, the buildings change and wash out. And I was part of the sort of the idea in, the late 60s. I like the aesthetic of that. And I thought, it's a good sort of time to sort of tell the story in terms of just the not so much sort of leaning into, what was happening in the 60s, but, just capturing this little small, little neighborhood with this family.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because yeah, it's very visually striking each episode, and yeah, so that totally makes sense. That's great. And the title, I interviewed, Aeysha and the stars of the show already, and love asking this question. Government cheese, of course, is a real thing, of course. And why do you feel it's such a so significant to sort of
Yes.
emblemize this show in particular?
Well, like in the sort of the inspiration for me, where it came from is when I thought about um, this is a feature, like where the sort of root of the story came from. Um, I was reflecting on a time in my childhood, and so where we were on government cheese, but it sort of became like a creative inspiration for me, thinking back then when I started to write the story. And so, like when you sort of think about it, it's about being creative and thinking, um, pushing past where you are, and so that's where it comes from.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Um, yeah, that's yeah, and it's a great title, I think. I think and once people watch it, I think yeah, that's great. It's a great way to pull you in sort of, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of people. I also want, I know, with your career, you've directed a lot of huge pop stars and music videos. I was curious, and you direct co-create a series like Government Cheese. I mean, you ever work with these you know pop stars, and does it ever strike you like, oh, this one in particular was a really good actor, and I could see them in a show like Government Cheese or something else that you've directed that's not a music video? Is there one pop star or someone who's stood out to you?
Not so much. I mean, I think talent, there's all sorts of types of talent. I found that, you know, um, just outside of, the music video world, I've, done a ton of work. More, actually, I've done more work in the advertising world, probably, the last 20 years more, in advertising. Um, and I've come across a lot of talent. And I try to take sort of inspiration from all the different projects that I've worked on, and each one is kind of like a stepping stone. You get a chance to play creatively, and so I feel like all the different sort of things, opportunities I've had to shoot over the years has sort of really helped give me a lot of confidence to be able to play in this space. Um, you know, um, and just to be able to look at things from from a visual place, and storytell, if you think about in ads or music videos, there's many stories in those, you
Yeah.
know especially in the ad space. There's had shot a lot of comedy spots, and there's a beginning, middle, end in those, in that work, and it's the same process. And, you series, there's a beginning, middle, and end, and an episode, there's a arc, and in each scene, there's a narrative arc. So it's been great to kind of play with all of the, have the opportunity to sort of, shoot, play in different mediums and bring it over into this medium.
Yeah, yeah, I bet. That's great experience right there. That's awesome. Well, great. And here we are with Government Cheese. So congratulations again, and I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me, Paul.
Oh, thank you, Will. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Take care. Nice to meet you.